And I'm going to go in and share my screen. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to be talking about egoism and the social contract, which is a little different than talking about the last few weeks. We've been talking about what is ethics. We talked about relativism, and now we're talking about this social contract. And that's what we're talking about today. Let's see. Hello, ladies. How are you all doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, so I'm going to go in and share my screen. What I want to do is I want us to continue this conversation, and we're going to talk a little bit about ethics today too, ethical relativism, because some of your major points or your trivia points are going to come from that today. So that'll be fun for you guys. And then I'm going to talk to you before I let you guys go today about the upcoming quiz so that you all will not be blindsided. I will be giving you all a study sheet for that as well. All right. And welcome everybody. I hope you got your coffee so that we can get ready today. So today we're talking about egoism, altruism, and the social contract. Now I know that those words sound like they're complicated and they sound big. If you had a chance to read the book, you kind of know that they're not as big as the words do look. They really all are about how we think, how we serve, and also how our community or how our world works. So first of all, egoism or altruism is what is our most basic concern for the well-being of others. When you think about altruism, you think about people who are very generous. You think about different altruisms, those people truly self-sacrificial. If you think about Oprah Winfrey and all of the little things that she used to give away when she had her show. And, you know, people would love to be on the show when she was going to give away stuff. Because she would give away cars and she would give away televisions and she would give away all these big things. But some versions of altruism may appear to hold as truly self-sacrificial behavior on the peak of moral development. And unlike altruists, egoists are primarily concerned with their own well-being. So let me go on and start. Egoists, which we come with the word ego, comes to the idea of being concerned with self-minded. But egoist in terms of moral philosophy is persons who are primarily concerned with their own well-being. Does that make sense? You have your own well-being that you're concerned with, as opposed to it's a less selfish defender of egoism may claim that egoism is not about taking advantage or being an uncaring person, but it's rather that descriptive theist of human behavior, where we are going to take care of ourselves. So let me give you an example. If something is happening and the world is coming to an end, the thing that we're going to do is more than likely self-preservate. We're going to try to take care of ourselves, and then we're going to try to take care of the other people that are around us. What happens when we are in a situation where there's danger is we're trying to see how we can take care of ourselves. Altruistic behavior, on the other hand, is oriented toward social behaviors are oriented toward the well-being of others versus egoism. So In other words, I could say in this instance, say for instance, you were on a subway platform, whether or not you were in Philadelphia or New Jersey or Chicago or wherever you're from. If you're familiar with the subway line, you know that there is that track that comes and then a train that comes along. Now, for instance, the train is about a minute and a half coming into the track. A person accidentally falls over into the track. You know that the train is going to be coming in about a minute. Even though you don't see it, you know what the train is. You've seen it on your tracker. You know that it's coming. You know that if that train comes, that person who accidentally fell is going to get hit, more than likely killed, or at least very badly damaged. Do you try to save them? Question, do you try to save them? And if you do, why? And if you do not, why not? Everybody, you have to answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Train track, person has fallen over onto the train track, not trying to commit suicide, it was an accident. You know from your tracker on your phone that the train is going to come in about a minute and a half. You know that if the train hits them, they're going to either probably be killed or they may at, best be very, very damaged. Do you try to help them? Do you try not to help them?
I'll try to help them because
Okay.
that's just the person in me. Either if I'm acting, calling for extra help, help, this person need help, I would help. That's just I would help.
Okay. Yasmin says she would help. Anyone else? Janine?
Oh, good. I was trying to unmute. I'm the same way. I probably would reach out for other people to help. That's me. In the event that I won, I think my daughter will come to mind. What will happen to me if I think of somebody else? But the person in me, I will definitely will help. But at the same time, I would yell for other people to see who can help, because the more the merrier, in the sense, we can get it done faster with it before the train comes.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm definitely a helper. I am a helper because I would want somebody to help me, or like Jenny said, help my kids if they needed help. These days, people just want to really take videos or be able to show somebody else instead of like having humility to help somebody. Like they did back in the days. Like today is more of a let me try to make a quick dollar, see if I can go viral. So I'm a helper. I'm always gonna have that heart. I'm just gonna help people when I can.
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you.
So I would help also. However, if the train is like about to be right there, like say while I'm helping, so like I'm gonna help until the train gets to where, like if it's gonna be me or you, it's gonna be you type of thing. But I'm gonna help as much as I can for sure. And pray to the Lord that we get you up out of here. But if it's gonna be you or me, it's gonna be you.
Oh. Amen.
I'm not gonna kill myself. That's one
Yeah,
thing.
I ain't gonna kill myself.
I'm gonna help. That's why you exactly heard what I said. The more the merrier, like they said. Help. But I gotta live for me too. Because if that's the case, I should have been dead for a lot of things, But
Okay. Chris, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I think I would want to help because I wouldn't want to see nobody lose their life or nothing like that. So I would really try to help that person, you know, find a way to get them off them tracks.
Okay. So thank you everybody for sharing. So let me say what this means according to altruism. It sounds like all of you have that altruistic mindset. Basically, that you have a concern for the well-being of others. Egoists would say that that sounds good, but really you are ultimately motivated by more than just trying to help that person, that you're motivated by more ego of how that makes you feel to be able to help that person out. So egoists would say, look, I'm not selfish, but I'm looking out for my well-being. Altruists would say that egoists are purely selfish, even to the point that they're willing to take advantage of others. Altruists would say, hey, I'm willing to lay down my life in order to make sure that someone else has the benefit of living, or I'm willing to volunteer at a soup kitchen. I'm willing to volunteer at my church. I'm willing to volunteer to make sure that the Red Cross has the help that they need. And my altruistic behavior is oriented toward the well-being of others. So I'm not an egoist at all. So egoist, normative and ethical egoists claim that we ought to pursue our own self-interest, right? Which is also called psychological egoism, which maintains the fact that we can pursue our own self-interest as opposed to altruists. However, egoists would say, aha, altruists, you have a benefit that makes you feel good about yourself. So actually, you have some egoism going on as well. Any comments regarding that thought process between the altruist and the egoist so far?
I know a lot of egoists. Oof. I just like the way you broke that down. I'm gonna go deeper into it when I read it by myself, but that's all I gotta say.
Okay. Anyone else before we go a little further? Okay, well, let's go a little further. So, as we go into this a little further, the social contract that we're talking about in your chapter is the idea that there are social norms and a political agreement that derives from mutually beneficial contract between parties would consent to. A social contract are the social norms and political agreement that derives from a mutually beneficial contract in which parties would consent. Social contract in this case, when we're talking about the social contract and the benefits for others, sometimes have derived from some of our programs like Social Security, like Medicare, like Medicaid. All of these things are part of the social contract that was derived for the benefit of others that supported the social norms at the time. Medicare and Medicaid and many of the other social programs derived from the Depression, when the people at that time did not have anything to be able to launch themselves, to be able to live, to be able to grow. So a lot of these programs started after that political administration. Many of the programs we see today have also come from the social contract, that there should be a give and take. And that's why you'll see in political arenas where there'll be one side against another side saying that we should not be able to allow all of these people to benefit, because the reason why your party is trying to give this benefit to them is because that's just trying to make you feel good, as opposed to really being good for the people. All right. Simply put, descriptive egoism holds to the fact that people are basically self-centered or selfish. That is, that people are primarily pursue their own self-interest. And it's a view about how people behave or why do they do what they do. And this is often referred to psychological egoism. Again, the view of how people behave and why they do what they do is referred to psychological egoism. All right, so descriptive egoism holds to that basic fact that we are centered, self-centered and selfish. But psychological egoism is how people behave and why they do what they do. That's psychological egoism. Now, as a normative theory, ethical egoism holds that the good for people is to pursue their own self-interest. Isn't that what the United States has kind of built themselves upon? Think about it. Pull up your own bootstraps. Be a self-made man or woman. Do yourself. Make sure that you are doing yourself proud. You know, come up and pull yourself up. You know, show yourself strong. All of these things supports this kind of ethical egoism that is good for people to pursue their own self-interest. It's not that it's a selfish thing where you're talking about narcissists who only think about themselves, but how can I pursue my self-interest? Think about Bill Gates. Think about Steve Jobs. Think about, I can't think of the guy right now off the top of my head who owns Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Think about Jeff Bezos. These are people who, for the good of themselves and for people, they pursue their own self-interest. And because of that, we have Macs, we have PCs, and we have shopping 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's delivered to your door, right? Because the normative theory of ethical egoism holds that the good for people to pursue their own self-interest. It was their self-interest that started their companies that had a benefit for us. Now, one way of describing this in terms of reciprocal altruism is that it holds that altruism behavior makes sense for the self-interested persons, that when it's repaid in kind. In other words, reciprocal altruism idea is that altruism behavior is traded with others in a mutual beneficial exchange, okay? And what they ask you to do is to see in your book that idea of contractism. Because if I give my time to you, what happens when you do something for someone else? What happens when you do something for someone else? What normally comes back to you? What do they normally say? What do they normally do? Anyone?
Say thank you.
They say thank you, right? When they say thank you, that makes you feel good. A little bit, does it?
Yeah.
If they don't say thank you, how does that normally make you feel?
Well, I actually just had this happen.
Huh?
I actually just had that happen on Christmas.
Okay.
So at first I was irritated because I'm just like, one, you didn't even come to the Christmas party for the family. And then the second thing is like, you couldn't even like say thank you. But the latter of that was, since I go to church, one thing my apostle says, when you do something out of the kindness of your heart, you actually shouldn't expect anything, like not even a thank you, because when you give somebody a gift, it's like nothing is supposed to be attached to it.
Mhm.
So if they do nothing, then you shouldn't be offended.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's not a gift. It's an exchange.
And that's what we were talking about with this reciprocal altruism, that it is a mutually beneficial exchange. And that is why egoists would say altruists really do have a mutual exchange, even though there are principles that happen in the areas of faith that say that you should not want a thank you. You feel some kind of way if someone would, if you were in a soup kitchen and you were serving somebody and they wound up throwing that meal back at you, you feel some kind of way. If we're going to be honest, anybody want to be honest with me for a minute? Would you feel okay if they threw that meal back at you?
No,
No?
that happened to me.
No.
Mhm.
I wanted to bust
Not at
my
all.
but I couldn't because I was in a place of business and
Mhm.
I was the worker at the time,
Mhm.
serving the patient, put it like that.
Mhm. You feel a little some kind of way when people don't repay you for your kindness. And even though you may not psychologically, and this comes back to this idea of reciprocal altruism, even though, to Dominique's point, you may not have done it for the thank you, but there is something innate in us that says you could at least
Say thank you.
say thank you,
I
or
have
acknowledge the fact that I did this kindness to you, which comes to that mutual beneficial exchange. Does that make,
yes.
anybody have any comments, questions?
I wanted to say something, but anybody else got something to say before I go?
Go on, Yasmin.
So, like, for example, right, my person, my other half, he's always willing to, if we go out to eat, I'm gonna pay for everybody, my aunts, sisters, cousins, whatever. And I don't know what I would call myself then, altruistic or egoism at this point, because sometimes I get frustrated because it's not reciprocated. So if their birthdays come around, oh babe, I'm gonna take such and such out. No, they didn't do that for you for your birthday, or they don't call to reach out to the kids to say happy birthday, or it's like, well, babe, I'm gonna get such and such a gift or send them $10. Why? They don't do that for us. And it's not that I'm selfish or nothing. It's just over time, you get tired of giving and giving and giving sometimes because people just take, and it's not reciprocated. So yeah, so what would I call myself in that? Like what would that be?
Well, we're not going to label you today.
Okay.
But as we go through this, you'll begin to
Label yourself.
Right.
Well, I have a something to say as well. Like my person is like that where he's been like taking care of everybody else so long that he don't feel a way about it, to whereas me, I'm like, well, they ain't never bought you a, when he was smoking, they ain't never bought you a pack of cigarettes with
okay
$50, but you spending $300-$400 a night drinking, and weed is legal here, so he's buying weed for his friends, but he don't even smoke.
Mhm.
And that's really weird to me. Like, so for me, it's like, why do you expect so much out of me, but you don't expect anything out of your friends? Like, that's weird. I don't know what I would call myself, because I just feel like as an adult, everybody has the choice to get up and get out and get it every day. And if you don't do that, then nobody should be, no another adult, unless their husband or wife, should be responsible for helping you or taking care of you or doing extracurricular activities. If I'm broke, I'm gonna stay at home.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But people will call me or say I am I'm headstrong, or maybe I'm too blunt, or I'm mean and nasty because I feel like that. But I've been in too many situations where grown people always try to take advantage of other people. And I always see it, like, it's like I see straight through it. I don't know what that is, but yeah.
I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
Yasmin,
If I can chime in too, I remember sometime, this is Jeannie,
Mhm.
you know, and I do a lot just because I do it out of the kindness of my heart. But then in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, did that feel good? Oh, did you, you know, so why can you take notes and do that for me or somebody else? But, you know, then I got to think, you know, the same, the one lady said, Dominique, you know, as a Christian, you know, you're just supposed to give and be okay. You're not supposed to be receiving. But I just feel sometimes if somebody enjoys how I have treated them and done for them, like, why can't they do that back? Not so much for me, but like others, you know, because then I would like to feel how you're feeling at this time, if that makes sense. But, you know, I know I'm not supposed to think that way, but I am still human. So sometimes, yes, those thoughts go through my mind.
Or if you're going out of your way for somebody. So I feel like I'm always going out of my way for people. Like, I'm always going out of my way for them. But then when it's my turn, say for instance, my birthday, I only got 3 or 4 people that showed up, but I've been there for over 15 people this whole year. And it just makes you not want to be there for people. Like, I don't know what I am. I've been a Muslim, I've been a Christian,
Me either, Deirdre.
I'm serious. I'm just being honest. I've been a Muslim, I've been a Christian, I've been a Rastafarian. I've been like 3 or 4 different religions until I got so deep into it that I wasn't feeling what they was, what they were believing in. So I really just think that it's a God, but I don't practice, oh, I'm gonna give you this and then you don't have to give me nothing back, or I'm gonna make you feel good, like Jenny said, but you're not gonna do the same thing for me. I don't, that's not how I operate. If I'm your village, I feel like you should be my village too.
Right.
And if you're not willing to do that, or you're not gonna be there for me, I feel like you using.
Right.
I
And I realize people be there for who they want to be there for.
Yes.
And that's the truth. People go to who function they want to go to.
Yes.
And you be like, well, I thought you was my friend. Like,
Yeah.
well, hey, what happened? You didn't invite me. I don't, like, godly, but it goes. And I think we all can agree to that. Like, it's not reciprocated. And sometimes we all do look for reciprocation. We do.
Yes, because as a human being, it's like, okay, like, you gonna do me like that when I'm always there for you. Even being a Christian or whatever you are, you still gonna need somebody. Because I ran my businesses. I feel like I didn't need nobody until it was time to get a team. Then
Right.
it's like, oh, I do need people. You know what I mean? But life has made me feel like I don't need nobody. I can't rely on nobody so much that it's like I wanted to build myself up to where I didn't need nobody. But I had to realize, like, you're always going to need somebody. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of what, you're always going to need somebody.
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's your hand up. Yes, Dominique. Dominique, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So I was just gonna chime in. Uh, so I literally just feel like every person has egoism in them,
Right.
because like at the end of the day, when you think about it, we go to work. When you go to work, it's like, oh, it's like a fine line. Like for me personally, like my boss, he I almost feel like he makes it seem like that's my business and it's not my business. So it's like only a certain level of work I'ma do, or you gonna pay me more money. So it's like I'm in the best interest of the company, yeah, but I'm also self. Like I need to preserve myself, because you're not about to be working me like a dog, and you know, I'm not benefiting, because like I have other dreams and goals that I want to have too.
Mhm.
But I do feel like you can also be, you can be both, because like I have a giving spirit. So if I got money in my pocket 90% of the time, I'm at the store and I'm buying anybody I love and care about something. It could be $2, it could be $200. Like if I got it, like the people around me have it, because that's just who I am in my, like in my soul. And it's like, yeah, I get, everybody, because we all want like that reciprocated.
Mm.
I feel like if you have the right people in your life, like it's automatically gonna be like that, because
Yeah.
reciprocation doesn't mean, oh, I buy you a gift, you buy me a gift. If you just speaking into my life positively, then that's helping me grow as a person. I feel like a lot of times people get stuck on materialistic things that they don't realize something as simple as a smile or a hug or coming to visit you can really add to your life, so I just think like the world nowadays has made it to where if you're not doing something materialistic for me or putting money in my pocket or something like that, it's just like I can't mess with you. But it's just like, what about somebody that's just showing you how to be better, somebody that's speaking into your world and not making you want to give up that morning, so it's just like so much deeper
Right.
than just like the surface.
Absolutely. And you're right about this, the mutual exchange. It is not peace for peace. But great discussion, guys. Let's keep going here. So let's go here. Let's look at this. Morality seems to require that individuals sacrifice their own selfish interest for the benefits of others. We tend to praise altruists and condemn egoists. And when you all first started out, that's exactly what I heard kind of coming from you, that we tend to praise those altruists, those people who are giving, and condemn the egoists, those who are self-interest. Pro-social behavior that intends to help others. Okay, so pro-social behavior, that's the intent to help others. But the social contract theory is that social norms and political agreements are derived by these mutual contracts in which parties would consent to. And you'll see that in your reading as well. It's also associated with the philosopher Hobbes, Locke, and Rawls, which you'll see some more material in the future as we look at some other things, even in this week. So let's go a little further. I've got a little bit of a bonus opportunity for you guys. Give you 2 minutes. This is from Ethical Reasoning last week, and also to help you to prepare for your quiz. So put it in the chat. Don't shout it out. Put it in the chat individually. Those of you, and A, B, and C, it should be A, B, and C, and D. So A is strong relativism, B is weak relativism, C is soft relativism, D is both B and C, and then D is none of the above, okay? So first of all, guys, put it in the chat. I'm gonna start the clock, 2 minutes. The question is, what is morally right? For one, just depends upon what his or her society holds as right. Good and evil are defined by different people based upon their perspectives of the world. Remember, this is ethical theory, ethical relativism theory, right? Moral judgments reflect power relations and basic instinctive needs. There is no truth beneath perspectives, instincts, norms, other than the will to power. Which best describes this? A, strong relativism. B, weak relativism. C, soft relativism. D, both B and C, or E, none of the above. You got 2 minutes, put it in the chat. Forty-two more seconds. Final answers for everyone who's answering. I'm waiting for one more answer, I think. Anybody want to change their answer before I say final one? Okay. The answer is A, strong relativism. A, strong relativism. So if you had strong relativism and I have yours down, then you got 10 points for that. Because remember, and the key for that, and that's why I put it in quotation marks, will to power, strong power. It's the moral, what is morally right for one depends upon what his or her society holds as right. Good and evil are defined by different people based upon their perspectives of the world. Moral judgments reflect power relations and basic instinctive needs. There is no truth beneath perspectives, instincts, norms, other than the will to power. And that best describes strong relativism. Good job. Awesome, guys. All right, let's go to our next thing. So here we go. This is Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand is a philosopher who has really been instrumental in this idea of egoism and psychological egoism. And the core of Ayn Rand's philosophy also constitutes these overarching themes of this unfettered self-interest is good and altruism is destructive. She believed that the ultimate expression of human nature is the guiding principle of which one ought to live one's life. Example, are you your brother's keeper, which is found in your Muslim text, also, the Quran, and also your Bible.
And also New Jack City.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, she would say, we're not born, Ayn Rand says, with the explicit duties to serve God or society. We only have one life, and the good is to live it. Learn to pursue your own happiness by discovering the life-promoting values it requires. Think rationally and don't bow to authority. Join with the other people when they have real values in common and go your separate way when they don't. Don't try to be your brother's keeper or force him to be yours. Live independently. Now, this is Ayn Rand's theory. What I want to begin to really help you guys to see, and you all are going to see a lot of philosophers throughout this semester that you may or may not agree with. You may not agree with Ayn Rand, but you have to understand that this is an acceptable theory because she has developed this about unfettered self-interest is good and altruistic is destructive. She says that it is destructive to be altruistic. It is destructive to be this giving, because when you do that, you not really desiring to be your brother's keeper, you are forcing him to also think the same way. And this is the philosophy that she comes up with. So let me try to break it down another way. So in her mind, and her philosophy is that the reason why you are your brother's keeper does not work is because the expectation of what your brother keeper means could mean different things for different people. In other words, for Chris, it might mean that you need to make sure that if I picked you up from the airport, then you need to pick me up. Dominique might say, what my brother's keeper is that you should always be there to receive my call when I need help, regardless, because I'm always there for you. You all get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Give some examples of what your expectation of what your brother's keeper would be. Let's talk about that.
For me, because it's like I'm saying, but I really do have a brother, and I actually do say I am my brother's keeper. For me, it's not the opposite of somebody being there for me, but for me, it's being there for him, regardless. I'm just gonna talk about him personally. Regardless, even if I gotta pick up my phone and he calls me in the morning to say, sis, I just need to vent, or sis, I don't need nothing. I just need to talk to you. I'm there. I'm there. Even if it's somebody asking to borrow something, I don't like people borrowing nothing from me. If I got it, I'm going to just give it to you, because 9 times out of 10, some people just don't have it to give back, or they get mad when they have to give something back. Like they get mad at you for what they asked you for. And it's like, well, you said this to me. So if that explains a little bit, yeah, for me.
So do you expect the same thing from other people because you're your brother's keeper?
At this point in my life, no, I don't.
Okay.
From my trials and tribulations, from the things I've been through, no, I don't. I just do me. And at the end of the day, I know I'm gonna be blessed at the end of the day. So
So in other words, then you are not really your brother's keeper, because what that would imply is that there is that reciprocal approach, according to Ayn Rand. She would say that when you learn to pursue your own happiness by discovering your own self-promoting value that it requires, you think rationally, you don't bow to authority, you join with people when they have values in common and go your separate way when you don't. You don't try to be your brother's keeper and force him to be yours. You live independently. So according to what you just said, you would live independently by saying, if I give this to you, we're good. I don't expect anything from you. And so you don't have to be my brother's keeper, because we're not brother's keepers. I'm just going to do what I do and let you live independent. That's kind of what I'm hearing you say. Dominique, I see your hand raised.
I get that. Okay.
Dominique?
Yes, sorry, I was unmuting. Okay, so I feel like I guess this goes back to what I kind of was already saying about I do for people that I care about in my life. So I mean, I guess you could say I'm my brother's keeper or sister or whoever, because like I'm gonna like I said, if I have it, I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna try to be there or give you words of encouragement and things like that. And as far as expecting it back, I mean, I would say I do, but again, it's just different forms. I'm not looking like
in the same form.
It's like if I pick you up from the airport and you give me gas money, that's feeding me while I'm feeding you.
That's being your brother's keeper. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's me. And I feel like, I think that's
okay. Janine, I see your hand.
I think you just answer it with Dominique's statement, because I was trying to.
Right, it's Jean.
Jean, that's okay. Because when Yasmin was talking, she does for others, doesn't expect back. I didn't know that meant that you're not your brother's keeper. I thought when you're your brother's keeper, it's like, you can take care of others and not expect something back. Like, I've been in situations like Dominique just said, but sometimes like I don't expect the gas money, or I don't expect this, but it makes me feel good that I'm doing for somebody, especially, I'm one kid of 5. If I can do something for my sisters, I thought that would mean, yes, I am my brother's keeper. But you're saying because we can be independent, it doesn't really describe us as that?
That's what Ayn Rand is saying. So in the Quran and in the Bible, when the question is asked of Cain and Abel, because remember,
yes,
lose Abel. And so he says, where is your brother? Even though deity says, I know where he is. Where is your brother? And he said, hey, am I my brother's keeper? And so the idea is, I am not responsible for my brother, and my brother is not responsible for me, and we don't owe each other that kind of responsibility. So there's not that give and take between the two of us.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yes, Dominique.
So just to also clarify, was like, it's not an all the time thing for me. So like, if I pick you up from the airport today, say you may not have gas, like you just came off a trip, maybe you don't have gas money. So it's not like as soon as I do something.
You don't expect the exchange at the time. It's the heart of it. They will.
Yeah, exactly.
Depend upon them, like that brother's keeper, as opposed to what Ayn Rand is saying is that you don't have to, according to her, have this self-promoting, you have this self-promoting value where you could have things in common, or you could go your separate ways. You don't try to have this ongoing thing to force them to be yours and to have the same values that you do. You live independent. But you are kind of, you're your brother's keeper because you have these same values with these people and you expect the same values from them.
Yeah, because typically, if you don't have the same values as me, then I don't even understand how we can like mesh as
True.
far as just like growing in life. Like if we're not on the same page, then why, like, what are we doing here? Or if you're not trying to grow, because sometimes you can get on different pages because people grow at different times. But if I don't see you putting in the work for yourself, I'm not about to help you because like you're thinking and I've tried to help you.
And the altruist, on the other hand, according to theory, would say, I need to be all of my brother's keeper, no matter what state of life they are, no matter what values they have, no matter whether or not they agree with me or not. And Ayn Rand is saying, look, if they agree with you, if they have the same common values, if they have the same, then you can walk alongside of them. If they don't, separate. Don't try to be your brother's keeper and don't try to force them to be yours. Live independent.
It's crazy because I see a lot of people, like, especially when New Jack City came out, a lot of people would say, I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. But the way you just broke it down and the way she just broke it down, a lot of people are not their brother's keeper.
Nope, not at all.
Like, it's not. A lot of people look at it as they're independent. No, that doesn't mean you don't have good value or you're not godly or you don't have a heart, because I definitely have a heart, because if I didn't, I wouldn't even feed the homeless, or I wouldn't give waters out to the person that's standing by the tolls, or get something to eat and don't touch it. And I see the guy that's always outside on the corner in a wheelchair just asking for change and he doesn't have legs, and I'm getting out the car just to write him something to eat, where it's not getting videotaped because that's not me. Where people I see stop and they're looking at me to see if I'm record. I don't record. That's not me. Never been. So I'm doing really out the kindness of my heart, because I am a godly woman. No, do I have flaws? Yes, I have flaws. Am I stubborn? As heck, yes, I am. But I'm a loving person. I'm willing to give. I give willingly. But as we stated in before, sometimes it's not reciprocated. And I'm not saying that I want it to be reciprocated, but sometimes make me feel good, make me feel wanted. I'm always being the person that's needed. Or I'm always being the healer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where it's getting sucked out of me. And it's like, dang, Yaz, what's going on? You, that's what's going on.
That was one of my New Year's resolutions, was to not be there for people so much. I know the people that have been there for me, as far as family, and I'm not saying don't do nothing for people who are struggling or on the street or stuff like that. I would rather help strangers, knowing that my good deed went, my good deed was just that, instead of helping people that's ungrateful, that when I need something, they're not going to be there for me. I'm steady giving and giving and giving, but you're not. If my car on the side of the road and I done gave you a ride every day back and to and from work, and then when my car on the side of the road, you got every excuse not to pick me up or not to help me, makes me bitter. And at the end of the year, so I moved from Kentucky to Michigan. Everybody in my family, even my mom, which they all have really good jobs, think that I'm the person to come to for help, because I have this business, and this business. I also have 6 kids. I'm also the person with the most children to take care of. So when you seeing me make money or doing stuff, I still have responsibilities that I have to take care of. And I don't see people being sensitive to that, because they'll be like, oh, well, she just got a grant for $50,000. I cannot use that grant until I find a building to put the money into. You get what I'm saying? But they'll call me and ask me for money, or they'll see somebody who I've done grants or business plans for get some money, and they'll automatically think because they got some money that I have some to give to them. And it's constantly been that for a year. So I took inventory and I said, I'm only helping the people, I'm only helping my village, the people that are there for me. And so we just become bitter over times of giving and giving and giving and giving it. And then when you need somebody, nobody's there.
And so Ayn Rand in the novels that she has written, she would say, and her themes would say, that it is for you, your unfettered self-interest is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Right.
And altruism for you is destructive. And so it's not saying that every philosopher that we read is something for you to adopt. That's why we look at philosophy. That's why we look at ethics. That's why we're looking at these different people that believe different things, because when it comes down to life, and when you start getting into discussions, when you start getting into business, when you start getting into criminal justice, when you start getting into being as a paralegal, when you start getting into any aspect of your life and career, you're always going to be faced with these different ideas, but now you'll be able to put and affix a face with how people are thinking when they're coming to an idea, particularly one of those controversial subjects. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So Ayn Rand would further say that love is selfless. Love is selfless. What we love, what we personally value and admire. And I've heard a lot of that themes from you all today. A selfless love is a contradiction in terms. It would mean that you have no personal stake in the object of your love. The truth is, romantic love is profoundly selfish. It is the union of mind and body that people pursue for their own happiness. Profoundly demanding. And to quote a line from The Fountainhead, one of the books she wrote, it says, to say I love you, one must know first how to say I.
That's crazy because you know how somebody say love you or send you a text love you, but you'll probably shoot a text back and say I love you, or you'll tell a person I love you. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I get offended when somebody just say love you, especially if somebody that I love unconditionally. No, put that I in front of me, because I'm taking that time out independently to say I, Yasmin Nicole Williams, love you. Okay, so I get that. That's crazy. I get that. I get that.
Also, this phrase that money is the root of all evil, she would say that life requires production. Today's standard of living without our computers, cell phones, and life-saving medicines far outstrips the wildest dreams of the past. All this wealth had to be created by individuals. And our money is what enables production. Money is your means of survival. A character in her book, Addis Schroeder, warns, the verdict you pronounce upon the source of your livelihood is the verdict you pronounce upon your life. So what she's saying is that oftentimes we say that love is selfless, but it actually is very selfish, because it's really all about us and how we feel about that person. And it is in this profoundly selfish way where we are profoundly demanding of one another and their time. And then her idea of when we look at money is the root of all evil, the scripture does not even say that. Money is the love of money is the root of all evil, but people often leave that off and say that money is the root of all evil. And she's saying, no, that's not true. Money is your means for survival.
It's the people.
Right. And it cannot be the root of evil. So that's what another of her philosophies are for egoism. Okay, remember she's a egoist philosopher. All right. So what is psychological egoism? Psychological egoism is a descriptive theory about our motivations and interest. And in one interpretation, it may be taken to say that people are basically selfish. But here, psychological egoism holds that people usually or always act in their narrow and short-range self-interest. That is almost the psychological portion of us that will always act in our narrow and short-range self-interest. But the difference of the formulation of this theory asserts that although people do things for their own self-interest, this self-interest is understood more broadly and being more concerned with the long-term outcomes. Thus, we can distinguish between acting selfishly and acting in our own self-interest. Okay? So we're going to go and talk a lot more about this on Thursday. And we're going to talk about rebuttal egoism on Thursday because I want to go over that in depth. But I want to give you one more bonus chance, and then we're going to conclude for today because I want to talk with you all real briefly about your assignment that's due tonight, all right? So here you go. Before we start the clock, there are some abstract and basic norms or values that are shared, but the abstract values are expressed in different cultures in different ways. Although a culture might share the idea that all life should be valued, the culture may disagree as what counts as life or valuing life. Sometimes this is referring to the capabilities approach. This best describes what? A, strong relativism, B, weak relativism, C, soft relativism, D, both B and C, or E, none of the above. Let's go on and give you 2 minutes for that. And I hope you guys get this because I really did emphasize this in our lecture last week. Go in and put it in the chat when you're ready.
Mm.
"24 seconds left." I only have 2 answers out here. Am I supposed to have more? Am I not seeing them? Look, give it a guess. Even if you don't know, give it a guess. You always will do well just giving it a guess. Okay. So the answer is, okay, let me see first off here. Chris, are you sure about this? You changed your mind?
I want to pick. I don't know. It's either B or D to me.
I want to pick B too, but
Go back to your notes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you both the benefit of the doubt. Everybody, it's D. Remember we talked about that weak relativism and soft universalism?
Yep. Want me to read it? Want me to read it? I'll read it.
Yes. Thank you. Will you?
Yes. I'm gonna read both of them. The weaker version of relativism holds that there are some abstract and basic norms or values that are shared, but that these abstract values are expressed in different cultures in different ways. Weak relativism, or also soft universalism, is the capabilities approach to ethics and human welfare by the economist Amadea, whatever her name was, how you pronounce it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So yes, so I'm going to go on and give you guys a break. So each time, guys, and just so that you will know that each time that you all are here, you automatically get 10 points every time that you participate. But then every bonus, I try to give you all at least 1 or 2. So you get 10 points for every time that you get a correct answer. So that will always help to compensate for whatever that you all miss during a test, a quiz, or even an assignment. And speaking of assignment, your assignment is due tonight, okay? That's due. However, I will give you an extension until Saturday if there is an issue for that. So, but it is due tonight without any, deduction, and then you have your extension until Saturday. So try to get that in, guys. Don't try to get behind. It's really important. And
I really need to learn how to put my homework in there because I wrote it all down. I don't know if I should be writing it in Word and then like sending it, but I'm having problems sending my homework or sending my work in.
so what I made happen in my assignments, I give you a chance to either type it in or to put Word in there. You can
Okay.
upload it, or you can do Word. Talk to Catherine. I gave you, I think I sent that email address to you.
Okay.
Canvas so that you can get that help to navigate that. But if you already have that information, just go on and type it in for last week's stuff.
Yes.
If you can't get into it, let me know. Just text me later on today because I'm about to go to a meeting, but text me later on today and I'll open it up just for you.
Okay.
And Jeannie, I'll make sure that you and I catch up. And then Chris, I know your schedule is weird, so catch up with me as soon as you can about what we talked about, okay?
Yasmin, can you text me?
Yes, ma'am. I will text you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor. I'm available when at your convenience.
Okay, all right. Well, you just text me some good times. I'm usually available in the evenings, guys. I can also be available on the weekends for you. I'm really here to make sure that you all are successful. There is no reason why you shouldn't at least get a B+ or an A out of my class. Okay?
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Have a wonderful day.
Have
Thank
a
you.
Alright.
good one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right, guys.